Anyone remember the House of Mouse? Now this was a novel concept if I've ever seen one, and honestly something I think would work very well today. Basically the thinking behind this is it's a collection of shorts wrapped in a framing device. The shorts were both classic Disney shorts and new shorts, some from the short-lived Mickey Mouse works, which was good as well as some newer shorts specifically for the House of Mouse. The framing device was basically Kingdom Hearts, and it makes me wonder why we never got a House of Mouse type world in any of the games. Guess Disney just forgot? It takes place in a dinner theater, the eponymous House of Mouse, run by Mickey and the gang, and serves a clientele from seemingly all of Disney's series. The events of each episode would play out between several shorts per episode, and were usually very simple. This is no exception, but is quite nostalgic for me. Mickey's House of Villains was actually the second House of Mouse films, released in 2002, the first being Mickey's Magical Christmas, snowed in at the House of Mouse, released in 2001, which I briefly touched on during last year's Christmas special, and may talk more in depth about this year. We'll have to see. The plot of the framing narrative is simple. The villains from various Disney movies are bored, so they decide to take over the House of Mouse this Halloween.
I've got a trick for Mickey Mouse, but you'll all have to wait until midnight.
That's when we can unleash the Heartless into the House of Mouse to find this world's keyhole so that handsome fellow can open the door to Kingdom Hearts!
Okay, I'll stop. I won't talk too extensively about the classic shorts for reasons. Don't worry, I intend to cover them in depth at a later time. But in order, the classics are Trick or Treat from 1952, Lonesome Ghosts from 1937, and Donald and the Gorilla from 1944. I can say for certain everyone, like, above the age of 5 has seen these shorts before. They're Disney classics. I won't go into the classic shorts for now, I specifically want to talk about the newer ones in this video. As for these shorts, they include Mickey's Mechanical House, How to Haunt a House, Dance of the Goofies, Donald's Halloween Scare, and Hansel and Gretel, which were all previously aired as part of the aforementioned Mickey Mouse works. The first short is Trick or Treat, Donald fails to be scary, which is hilarious, then we go immediately into the next short, Mickey's Mechanical House. Basically, Mickey's house is crap, so he looks for a new house. The one he buys goes from dream house to nightmare very quickly. I gotta say, the Mickey Mouse works style was always stand out to me. It's just got this sort of mid-century aesthetic vibe to it that I've always enjoyed. The most recent animated series improved upon this and turned it up to 11, with the much more bouncy and cartoony style and the Art Deco look, but I feel like the Mickey Mouse work style really worked well for what it was trying to do. As for the short itself, I feel like it's one of the weaker of the specials. The rhyming scheme just isn't my speed, and the main conflict arises from Mickey wanting to switch to a night schedule, something that I can easily get behind. Just one splash of water being enough to make the whole house go haywire is a bit absurd, despite suspension of disbelief. The short itself isn't bad, I just say the others are better. It's got a nice ending either way. Donald continues to be unscary and leads into How to Haunt a House, probably my favorite. Goofy dies within like 4 seconds of the short starting. I'm not even kidding. That may sound malicious, but it's just so funny that so quickly this short very blatantly kills one of Disney's most beloved characters.
Hey! I'm not ready to be dearly departed!
Don't you worry. It's only temporary. Just long enough for you to demonstrate how to haunt a house.
I love Goofy, and seeing him try to be scary is one of the most precious things. It's absolutely adorable, and that's like the entire short. The general aesthetic of this short is just so beautifully spooky I can't help but gush over it. The colors, the tombstones, dead trees, crooked fences, that whole beautiful haunted house vibe is all here in droves, and it's just wonderful.
The dark. Everyone is afraid of the dark.
Not me. Personally, I find the darkness comforting. Maybe I'm weird, but whatever. Donald's complete ignorance to Goofy is hilarious as well, until yet another unfortunate accident. Seriously, someone needs to put that driver away for several accounts of vehicular manslaughter. After this is Lonesome Ghosts, followed by Dance of the Goofies. It's out of place. It just feels like it belongs in another special, a not Halloween special. It's just watching a bunch of Goofy fairies find themselves in haphazard with no dialogue over classical music. I think it's Tchaikovsky, but I could be wrong. A lot of them end up eaten. Their king gets captured by some kid, and one of them saves him. Maybe this kid is Halloweeny enough? I wouldn't say so. It just feels like padding, honestly. I guess it wouldn't if I didn't already know these shorts existed before the special was made, but it just doesn't feel like it fits to me. They could have picked another short is all I'm saying, or just go right to the villains taking over, because I feel like they don't get enough spotlight in a special called Mickey's House of Villains. But I'll cover that in a bit. The final short before the villains finally enact their plan is Donald and the Gorilla. As soon as it's over, the villains begin their hostile takeover with, of course, a musical number. It's Our House Now. is incredibly memorable and catchy. Honestly, I'm surprised this isn't a more well-recognized villain song. It's a huge Halloween celebration of everything Disney villain. Thinking about it, other than the very thin framing device, this is the best thing to originate from this special. Everything else already existed as a standalone short or came from Mickey Mouse Works. This is fully original, and I wish it was more celebrated. Imagine going to Disney World on Halloween and when the sun sets, the villains take over and this song starts playing. Villains World. Disney. $1 million ideas. Once the House of Mouse is taken over, we start Donald's Halloween Scare, another of my favorite shorts in this special. God damn, that was adorable. I love you, Goofy. Never stop being you. Again, I just want to praise the colors, the design, the general feel and aesthetic as I did for How to Haunt a House, but this short takes it into overdrive. Even the shading is different, and it just oozes that Halloween charm. I could equate this plot to a slight modernization of Trick or Treat because they're very similar. Huey, Dewey, and Louie are trick-or-treating, they try Donald's house, but Donald decides to trick instead. They can't get their treats, so they decide to retort with their own tricks. I love that you can see the Mickey Mouse Works title card in the shot. It's a great Easter egg. Now when I say modernization, I mean it's a generally different tone. Trick or Treat was more light, bouncy, and carefree, the colors were more light, and the trick on Donald was a witch's magic. It was all very lighthearted and silly, despite the violence towards Donald. Halloween Scare has much more harsh, contrasting colors. It sets the mood well in its atmosphere. It works colors well to set the tone, the lighthearted spookiness and the cool colors of Halloween night trick-or-treating, followed by the deep reds of the final scare. I wish I knew how to work color palettes like this. The trick is much more of an elaborate scare prank. I used to pull these, jumping out of trees to spook my friends, coming around corners when I knew someone was about to walk by to give them a good jolt. It was always fun and in good humor. And that's what I feel Huey, Dewey, and Louie's prank is. Donald deserves to get tricked. He stole candy from kids. And rather than the blatant physical harm of Trick or Treat, his punishment is the scare of his life. It's also very aware of both the modern horror landscape of the time, your slasher flick killers and zombies, while still sticking true to the Halloween tropes that shape our current notion of spook, witches, vampires, cemeteries, the works. If I had to make a bold statement, this is probably somewhere in my top 10 favorite Disney shorts of all time. It's just very aware of the times, yet doesn't dumb itself down, nor forfeit creativity or what makes a Halloween short good in the first place. It's very much a modern take on Trick or Treat in the best way possible.
Where'd everyone go? I got the candy.
God bless him, he's trying. Back in the House of Villains, Minnie tries, but gets hoisted. Now, I wish I could say we leave on a strong note, but Hansel and Gretel is another Dance of the Goofies situation. It really doesn't fit. It fits slightly better, only because witches, I guess? But really, if you know the story of Hansel and Gretel, you know the short. I guess some of the colors are Halloween-y enough, and Hansel and Gretel is kind of a creepy story. It's worth watching because of the visuals, but Halloween! I frequently forget these two shorts are in this film and think they're in Snowed In at the House of Mouse, a Christmas special. You should have saved Doll's Halloween Scare or one of the classic shorts for last. Leave on a strong note. Yo, Minnie, the cage is literally open. The special ends with the final showdown between Jafar and Mickey. It's about as climactic as the rest of the narrative has been fleshed out. That is to say, not very. It's certainly not bad, but I feel like it could have been a lot better, especially looking at the two completely unfitting shorts. I feel like the framing narrative could have been given more time to develop, plus the resolution is a deus ex machina. Icing on the cake. If I were to say how to do it differently, firstly, I'd cut Dance of the Goofy and Hansel and Gretel completely and give that time to develop the frame. That'd leave 6 shorts altogether, 3 new and 3 classics. And I'd give more time to the villains, especially during their time in charge. I'd order the shorts Trick or Treat, Mickey's Mechanical House, Lonesome Ghost, then have the villains take over and of course their musical number, then make the framing dedicated to showing how the House of Villains run with a strictly villainous clientele, and maybe put some more work into how Mickey reclaims ownership. And the shorts at this point would go How to Haunt a House, Donald and the Gorilla, and Donald's Halloween Scare. Maybe with how much the selected shorts are targeting his friends could be a subtle hint that they're going to be instrumental in the resolution. Maybe wrap it up with Donald and Goofy helping Mickey fight back the villains, with Donald giving one last huge scare, giving some sort of resolution to his personal arc about wanting to scare someone on Halloween by scaring off the villains? But I digress. This is just wishful thinking. In all honesty, I'm probably too nostalgic about this special, but it is just legitimately a good selection of shorts with a great villain song debuted during. Despite the fact that I change a lot, I really do like it despite its flaws. The specials only get better from here though.